Carlin, as the men's 5,000 is underway. This is a long distance run, if you will, one of several heats to start, and what a way to start off the day. It's a little bit gloomy, a little bit wet, but we've got a lot of great competition here in the Bay.
Yes, we do. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a long race today, but with the competitiveness, being strategic, and figuring out how to go through what we're dealing with as far as the rain and the cold. It should be fascinating, intriguing, but as these collegiate athletes prepare and go through it, I think they'll find a way.
Absolutely. What an incredible venue for the Stanford Invitational, one of the prestigious programs in college track and field, one of the prestigious facilities in college track and field, and it's a pleasure to be here. You see the gentlemen in the 5,000 just getting started, and it's all about pacing here to start this long distance race.
Yes, it is. Pace is crucial, as you can see. You don't want to be too fast. You definitely got to pace yourself and fill it out and go with the flow.
So each of the races in the 5,000 will be somewhere in the neighborhood of upwards of half an hour, maybe not quite that long. As you see, they're on the backstretch after the first couple of laps, just 2 minutes into this race. So settle on in, and glad you are with us. Grab that cup of coffee with us on Flow Sports, and it's going to be a great day in track and field. This is one of two invitationals that Stanford hosts every year. They'll host the Peyton Jordan Invitational in honor of their longtime late coach a little bit later on in the month of April. But the Stanford Invitational, and going on also, we'll bring you the track events, but also there are field events, and you'll see those in the background of our shots of the runners all day long. And the javelin is underway on the infield. Gloomy day in the Bay Area, not uncharacteristic for this time of year. The rain finally moved in late last night and into this morning. It was funny. We were headed over to the field today, and I said, "Oh, the rain's holding off," and right on cue, there it started.
Definitely not San Diego weather, as you can see.
Not San Diego, and you never know in the Bay Area. Sometimes you get those beautiful days in the spring, but as Mark Twain said, the coldest summer I ever spent was a winter, or the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco. So you just don't know. Palo Alto, of course, just south of the city, south of the airport as well, and you see the runners continuing. They're almost 4 minutes in here of this Section 6 heat of the men's 5,000, starting our day, and it is a long day for all of the runners and all of the competitors. Carlin, I guess to start off, as we have a lot of things we can discuss during the 5,000, weather and track and field. I mean, if it's raining, if it's snowing, if they're able to be out there and competing, they're going to do that. And I guess from an athlete's perspective, how does that play on the mindset? How does that play on the physical abilities?
It plays a part of big time. You have to go into it differently. The weather, can play with you subconsciously and consciously, and you got to strategize differently. Especially when the weather isn't the best, you got to figure out, okay, one, the preparation, the warm-up has to be spot on, and two, you sometimes you realize that, I may not be able to run my fastest or my PR, but I have to find a way to win. That's what it's going to be about. How can we win regardless of what the weather is?
Coming around again, we're 5 minutes into this 5,000 Section 6 heat.
You can hear the coaches speaking out tempos, not even tempos, but times of laps. And the runners are then able to kind of gauge their pace based off of what the coaches is yelling on the outside. So some runners are going a little too fast or too slow, knowing, okay, when to pick it up, when to slow it down, and it's being strategic and being smart and not running too fast or too slow. So these runners kind of know and feel, okay, based off of what they do in practice, okay, I need to be around this pace and this time at this certain point. So it's been good hearing and seeing what they're doing so far.
Yeah, and again, settle on in, because we've got 2 or 3 heats of the 5,000 to start off this long day of competition here at Cobb Track at Angel Field on the Stanford University campus. There'll be events going all the way up till about midnight Pacific time. So settle on in with us, and it'll be fun to be here for the first of 2 days. Also competition tomorrow. They are 6.5 minutes into this section. And now you see the field starting to spread out a little bit. Is this where perhaps, Carlin, some of the endurance, some of the fitness starts to come in a little bit? You get past that initial energy of a race, and all of a sudden now you're grinding about 6-8 minutes in.
Yes, Mike, and you can see that, you know, the difference between, you know, you have your diesels and your flyers, and, you know, the people who are, you know, endurance-based, kind of speed-based, or kind of hybrid, and you kind of see as you can see the separation between, you know, the lead and the runners, and how they're transferring and going from lap to lap. So it's definitely, as the race goes, there's going to be some separation, and the guys who kind of lead the pack will kind of separate themselves from the bottom tier. But all in all, these are an elite field, but they'll start kicking it up.
Well, and it also, when you talk about the 5,000, are there any flyers? Maybe relative to the distance, but
Correct.
There are no sprinters in the 5,000.
Yeah, and when you come to being a flyer, it's more or less frequency-based. You know, there's distance runners who run the 5,000 who are more of, you know, I do have turnover as well as holding a steady pace, because those diesels have a big engine. But you have some who have a big engine but also can turn over really fast. So when they need to use their speed, they're able to kick and use that. But you also have those diesels who can hold a really steady pace for a long period of time. And most of these runners here will be diesels, but you have some in the pack who will kind of be a little flyers who know when I need to kick, I can kick.
That's right, and it brings up the point of, throughout the course of the race, there might be a point where a runner feels like, I've got to kick it into gear for a certain amount of time to make up ground, to open up a little bit of room. And that's all part of the mental game of a race like this, isn't it?
Yep. It's all about strategic, filling the race out. And as you can see, as they go and they're in the pack, and they kind of feel the paces and know the competitors. And some of them may have even faced some of their competition before. So they kind of know beforehand, okay, he's going to kick at this point. He's really strong and can hold his pace. So now I need to know, okay, I'm going to hold on to him. And then when I need to go, I can go.
Down the backstretch again. Over 9 minutes into this Section 6 heat. It's our first heat of the day here at Stanford. It's a beautiful facility. And now we've got a Woody Jerome of Loyola, Illinois, has overtaken Austin Apperson at the head of the pack. Apperson in the white and orange, and he is now trailing Jerome in that black and white patterned top. Nate Boutin, or Boutine, of Loyola, Illinois, and now things changing up a little bit. Down the backstretch again. You can see there's a group of about 9 runners who have separated themselves a little bit, and now that separation in those front runners probably going to about 6, maybe 8, as they make that turn. The sprinters always take the glory and take the headlines, but the 5,000 and runners grind it out. About 3 laps remaining. And you made a good point earlier, Carlin. I don't know if I would imagine people can pick it up on our microphones, but you have coaches down that first row of the bleachers shouting instructions, shouting encouragement. It's all part of the race. The field really separating now is another lead change on that backstretch.
Yes, and as you can see, the last coming up on the lap, two laps to go almost, and you can see there's going to be people that's trying to get in the forefront of the race and take over. So they kind of set back, fill it out, and now you're going to see a true separation now start to happen.
And we've seen it on that back turn. There's a group of 7, and they have been jockeying. Peter Baracco of Michigan being challenged around that first turn now. Jaden Forrester of Tulsa has been battling for the lead. Looks like Baracco slightly in front. And now Forrester has jumped up, and he's trying to stretch it out here a little bit, Carlin, as they go down the backstretch into that turn.
Yes, Mike, and this is very important as he settles in and start to gap everyone. He wants to hold on to this.
Yeah, Forrester looking good, being challenged by Coleman Cragen wearing the white cap. But Forrester looking smooth, and now making a move on the front stretch is Coleman Cragen. Still hanging right there, a couple strides behind. Final lap, first heat of the men's 5,000 at the Stanford Invitational.
On this lap, you really want to start pressing now. You want to be relaxed. You want to put your feet down and get front side. This is very important, especially as you gap. Most people would tense up. You do not want to tense up. A fast muscle is a relaxed muscle. And a lot of these guys, you can see who's in the lead, he is relying on his leg speed right now. He has the strength, he has the speed. All he got to do is finish it, and that's what he's doing.
And Jaden Forrester finishing in style, charging to the finish line of this first heat. The young man from Tulsa University going to win this heat going away as he will cross in first place. Here's a battle for second. Cragen trying to hold on at the line, and Coleman Cragen will take second, withstanding a charge at the end by Jacob Alfonso of Gonzaga University as the runners collapse in exhaustion. But boy, Jaden Forrester took control of that race in the final third, and he looked good coming down the last few laps, Carlin.
Yes, Jaden looked really well. He was confident, he was strong, and he finished really well. So I think he'll be happy with that, how he finished leading off the pack.
Absolutely. That was 14:07:35. Coleman Cragen better than 4 seconds behind that. So that's a pretty solid win for Forrester. Alfonso clocked in officially at 14:12:08. Jet Knight out of the Air Force Academy. Austin Apperson 5th. We saw the Boise State runner hold the lead through the first several laps. But heat number 1 is in the books, and off we go on a long day of track and field at Cobb Track and Angel Field at Stanford University. It's a good way to start it.
It really is. They kicked off really well. They set the tone. We're going to see what the other heats have in store. So it's great competition. It's great to see these guys fight and battle. And as you can see right now, man, they're barely walking off, and they're struggling. But you know, when you put everything out there and you work hard and you train hard, they usually say the race day is the fun day, and training is the hard day. So it doesn't look like it today, but they've done really well.
You think 12 and a half laps as we have the Section 5 heat ready to go. But you think of about 12 and a half laps and, you know, a time of, what, 11, 12 minutes or what have you. I mean, that's, you're moving.
Yeah.
I should say 14. 14, 15. I mean, 15 is going to get you towards the back, but Jaden Forrester of Tulsa clocking in at just over 14 minutes on 12 and a half laps. That's moving.
Yes. And as you see, as the heats go on, the times will probably get faster and faster and faster. You can see how special really these guys are and what it takes to be a lead and really run fast in this event. And it's not tough. It's not easy. And to be able to have and maintain a pace and still have a kick at the end is incredible.
Yeah, it really is amazing how well conditioned. Even if you are back of the pack, you run in 15, 16 minutes. You are moving.
Yes.
400-meter track here at Cobb Track, and it's pretty standard. The all-way. All bunched together to start off.
Scheduled for a field of 24 here.
I imagine, Carlin, that this will play out much the same way. I mean, there's a strategy and a little stumble there on that backstretch, but everybody's still up and running.
Anderson of Stanford is leading the way.
Liam Anderson of Stanford, as Carlin mentioned.
It's fascinating, Mike, to see the changes from the lead runner, especially as the laps goes on, and who takes charge, who kind of goes back, who goes back and try to take charge, and it's different. It's definitely a game of chess, not checkers.
Jamar Distal there from the University of Washington, with Anderson on his right shoulder in the first couple of laps. It really is the preference of runners, right, Carlin? When, you know, do you want to, I mean, you want to be towards the front, right, because you want to avoid all the congestion and all that, but the fact is, you know, how much any particular racer wants to be in the lead through the early part of the race. It's a little bit of a game of chess versus the other competitors, and then the personal preference of any racer.
Correct. And I think some of these guys, sometimes you gotta sit off, and it's about being strategic. You know, you can let someone kind of get out there and set the pace, and you can kind of say, you know what, I'm filling this out, and I'm gonna sit back a little bit because I know what my strengths are. And if he's gonna be able to get out in front, as long as I don't get too far behind, when I need to make my move, I can make it. However, you're basically, it's a feel. You're feeling every runner out. You're listening to your coaches, the times, the splits. You're also, it's taking into account your body. Okay, how's my body feel right now? Do I need to sit back? Do I need to go? Am I reserving too much? And then from then, you can kind of adjust your race pattern or what you need to do to execute and be confident. So as the race go on, that I'm not too tired, I don't have too much energy. So it's a balance you have to get right.
A couple of Boise State runners right now in the white and orange, Ollie Newman and Brian Kaprodik, with Distal right there in the top 3. But again, very early on, 4 minutes into this race. We've got probably 10+ minutes to go. Section 5 of the men's 5,000, the second of 3 different sections of the 5,000 to start this Stanford Invitational. The rain has subsided. It was never heavy, just misty and light, but more than a drizzle.
Yes.
This morning, and you can see it on the track a little bit too. A few spots of standing water, but not too bad. But again, something that I would think all the runners have to be wary of and be thinking about a little bit.
I'm sure all the other runners are kind of happy that the rain has kind of subsided and it's looking a little better. It's not as cold as it was even 15 minutes ago. I was up here shivering, but it's good to see that things are kind of looking better now.
Boise State runners still leading this fairly tight group. At least it has thinned out a little bit, and we'll see that continue to happen as this race is approaching the halfway mark. And you can feel it now, Carlin. You can feel it on this backstretch. As you get to the halfway mark, things sort of pick up in intensity. The guys are grinding. They're starting to, feel like, all right, I've got to be in the right position to execute my game plan over the second half of the race. Six minutes in. Braden Nicholson in the white top and red shorts from North Central in Illinois in the lead and looking pretty smooth at this point, but guys 3, 4, 5, 6 places back are well within range of doing what they want to do here over the last half of the race.
Yeah. And you can see that, there might be a guy that's in third or fourth place at the moment who's just sitting back and reserving himself into the kind of last lap or two, and then he'll start to kick it up and be in the forefront and say, you know what, now it's my time to take over.
Nicholson holding the lead down the front stretch. Line of runners a little bit longer now as we are over 7 minutes in, approaching 7.5 minutes in. 6 laps remaining. Many of that top group just over that halfway mark. Leaf Swanson in the red and black on the left, challenging Nicholson. Swanson from Washington State, that red headband. And another lap about to be ticked off. Section 5 of the men's 5,000 on an overcast, wet Saturday, or Friday, I should say, at Stanford University. Now Swanson to the inside. Nicholson right there.
8:32, 3,000. 67.5 in that last lap for Swanson. Swanson and Newman. Nicholson.
Ollie Newman in second down the backstretch, with Nicholson third, trying to maintain with Swanson. We're over 9 minutes into this second section. And you can hear the intensity pick up from the coaches down below us. And now Newman has taken the lead off the turn and down the backstretch. Swanson in second. So Ollie Newman, Brian Kiprotich third for the Broncos right now. Swanson in between them. So two Boise State Broncos leading this section of the 5,000.
65 on that last lap for Newman. We're 9:37.
Most of the splits right now per lap, just over a minute, that 65, 66 second range. It's been impressive. And there's about 8 runners now who have climbed their way to the top, and right now it's still Newman holding on to the lead. Swanson in pursuit. And once again, Carlin, you think about wanting to execute and properly run your strategy here, the final couple of laps and a few laps, and we're probably a couple minutes away from determining who's going to win this section, and now's the time when you put that into play, don't you?
Yes, you do. And these guys are running about a 20-second, 100 per lap, per 100, and they're holding that pace, and that's very strong and very hard to do. So you can see the fitness levels of these competitors, and now you're starting to see, okay, the separation now, and the guys who are really starting to differentiate themselves from everybody else, and leaning on their strengths and knowing that, you know what, it's time to go, and I gotta go.
So the top 3 right now have created a little bit of distance. Here comes Ollie Newman down the backstretch, leading Life Swanson of Washington State, and Brian Kiprotich running third. 2 laps remaining, and Carlin, barring a surge that we probably wouldn't expect, it looks like it's going to come down to some order of Newman, Swanson, and Kiprotich. And Kiprotich might be trying to keep up. Boy, I tell you what, Newman now on that backstretch looking good.
He's looking really good. He looks relaxed, he looks smooth, and he's looking fast.
Now Kiprotich fading just a little bit as he is trying to keep pace with the other two, but with this turn and 1 lap to go, Ollie Newman is in control of this race, and I'm not sure Swanson or Kiprotich are going to be able to catch him.
Yeah, and you really got to look at the body language of the runners. Newman is looking really, really well. And you see Swanson, he's struggling a little bit. Arms are going all over the place. The tempo, as you can see in his legs, he's not really maintaining. He's trying to kick, but Newman he's turning it up.
He is, and just to jump in, as he hit that first turn, you could see him surge a little bit, and now look at him down the backstretch. Ollie Newman in command. Swanson laboring behind him a good distance. Kiprotich doing the same behind Swanson, but there is Ollie Newman down the backstretch and into the final turn, and he is going to take this race going away. Swanson really struggling as he hits that final turn. But here comes Ollie Newman of Boise State, and he is going to be able to take it across the line in impressive fashion. You can see the effort, but it's under control for Newman as he comes down to the finish line.
Yeah, so you can really see Newman's strength, man. He is a competitor. He had a game plan. He executed it very well. I think he's going to be happy with himself. He was very smooth, very relaxed.
Swanson in second, and then a late charge for third place. Kiprotich faded as Ian Granados, or let's see, let's wait and see for a minute. It is Granados of Oklahoma State in third, split second behind Swanson of Washington State, but Ollie Newman with a tremendous finish. And as you said, the times will probably get a little bit faster. Newman broke 14 minutes, the best time of the first two sections of this men's 5,000, 13:56.88 for the young man from Boise State.
Yes, Mike, and as you can see that as the heats go on, things will get a little more exciting. The competitiveness will be a little more, and these runners will be a little more closer. So Newman did a phenomenal job at executing his race and being strong and coming out with the victory.
So Ollie Newman of Boise, #1. Leif Swanson of Washington State, followed by Aiden Granados of Oklahoma State. We will take a timeout. It is the Stanford Invitational, day 1 from Cobb Track at Angel Field on the Stanford University campus in Palo Alto. Mike Rice with Carlin Isles. We'll take a short break. Thanks for being with us on Flow Sports. Mike Rice and Carlin Isles at Stanford University. Just a beautiful setting. It's overcast, so a blue sky day would make it just a touch more beautiful, but it is the Stanford Invitational on Flow Sports. We're so glad you're with us. We will have coverage all morning, all afternoon, and Carlin, almost all night as well, as events will go probably right up until midnight Pacific time, and we're going to be with you all day long here at Stanford, and then back for more on day 2 tomorrow here on Flow Sports. Here's the section, the third section. It's section 4 of the men's 5,000. It is the third and final section of this event to start off this Stanford Invitational. Really, the event, I mean, there's no official opening to the outdoor season, although this sort of marks unofficially the start of the outdoor season in many respects. A great field here for the Invitational, as always. Stanford does such a tremendous job. A great venue, great hosts, of course. You can see that, again, that staggered start makes up for that half lap, if you will, with the front runners having to cover a little bit more ground around the turn. And then, of course, they'll all converge to the inside on the front stretch. But, Carlin, we've seen the first two. Jaden Forrester of Tulsa University captured Section 6, and then an impressive run for Ollie Newman of Boise State, under 14 minutes to win Section 5. And now we go to Section 4.
Camera 3, should I go to the race now? About to start.
And here they are into the first turn, and as we've been talking about, Carlin, they'll be battling for position. How much of it, too, at the start of a race, we talked about getting into a rhythm and into a flow. For a 5,000, I suppose it could depend on any individual runner, but is there a ballpark number where it takes to sort of get everything flowing, get into the pace of the race and feel like, as you said earlier, that diesel is sort of up and revving?
Yeah. And they'll probably fill that out for the first maybe lap or 2 to 3, kind of where they need to be, and get the flow of, okay, I'm coming around maybe a minute 2, minute 3, minute 4 per 400, and that's where I need to go. And so as you kind of gauge and you run and you kind of say, okay, you know what, this is the pace that we work at in training, this is where I need to be. I know there may be some people that's maybe in front of me that's running a faster pace, but I do not run faster than what I do in training. So I have to understand, okay, what is my pace, what is my rhythm, what time I need to come at per lap, and let me stick with that, because I know at the end of it, while people are maybe fatiguing, lagging behind, maybe don't have the kick that I have, that I know that I can surge when I need to.
Boy, this pack has thinned out considerably over the first lap or two, a little bit more so than the first 2 sections where runners were bunched together for the first third of the race, perhaps. Again, 12 and a half laps.
Robinson and Sharp running 1, 2, and 3. Luke Hauser of Washington also in this field.
Kai Robinson, Jake Gallen, Cole Sprout, Denver area runner. Luke Hauser, Jackson Sharp, Evan Bishop among those at the front of the pack right now. There's Cole Sprout coming at the end of this lap, wearing the dark shorts, the green and white top. Cole's an interesting story, terrific runner in high school at Valor Christian High School in South Denver. One of the best Colorado high school runners. I mean, in history is a big term, but he was outstanding during his time with the Eagles and now at Stanford University. Making the turn, and we've seen a separation now of 5 runners, and you can almost make it 3. Sprout in front, Kai Robinson, his teammate behind him, and Jake Allen in third right now as they, or actually, there's been a change. Jackson Sharp running from Wisconsin, and of course the red and white of the Badgers.
Yes.
Boy, Sprout's looking good right now, and Robinson right on his heels.
And if you're a fan, pay attention to the body language of these runners. You can kind of see, you know, there's some that are tall, there's some that are shorter. You can look at the frequency of their legs, the fluidity of their legs, and the movement pattern. And you can kind of gauge and see, based off of per lap and per individual, what their strengths are. You know, there's some that kind of really have a good frequency that they're holding, and some that don't look as fast, but they're covering real ground and it looks smooth. And as you see and as you go and you progress from race to race, you can really kind of get the feel of the runners and kind of assess, understand, okay, I think he's going to make a move here. I think he's really good at holding this tempo and this pace. And they really rely on the ability to really conserve energy. And the ones who can be more relaxed and conserve energy is going to have a better kick at the end.
I think, too, Carlin, and you can speak to this, I know, because you mentioned it earlier, looking at the upper body, the shoulders, the chest, side-to-side movement, laboring back and forth a little bit. You look at Cole Sprout, and we'll see if we can get a shot as they come down either the back stretch. There, right there. I mean, you look at that, the upper body is absolutely still.
Yeah.
And he is just he's grooving right now, if you will.
Yeah, Cole looks really good. I'm interested to see if he can hold the frequency of what he's been running. He's a frequency runner, as you can see. He has the leg speed. He also has the endurance. But can he maintain that? I wonder if he was able to sit off a little more and let the other runners kind of take charge, but then use his strength to come on the back end and really win and make a turn. But it's interesting to see if he can maintain this.
So Sprout and Robinson 1-2, and it may, I mean, you never know, but it may come down to these two, because right now Jackson Sharp is a decent distance behind those two. That was a 66-second split on that last lap for both Sprout and Robinson. That's right where you want to be.
Robinson is looking smooth. He looks really efficient. His frequency is not as fast as Sprout. However, he has the height and he has the distance far as covering ground. His legs are a lot longer, so he looks more smoother a little bit, and he's able to cover ground a lot more. So frequency-wise, they're two different runners, as you can see.
And the height is playing into that, as you said. I mean, Robinson is noticeably taller, and that's just going to make for a bit of a longer stride.
Yes.
But Sprout still holds that slim lead as they finish up another lap. 7+ minutes into this race. So roughly at the halfway mark, 6 laps to go. 6.5 in the books. Sprout 1, Robinson 2. And it looks like right now anyway, Carlin, Robinson is just content to ride that right shoulder of Cole Sprout. We'll see if that changes, and we'll see if that's just part of Robinson's strategy, or if he has some kind of kick to try and overtake Cole here in the last half of the race.
Yep, and as you can see, he's basically got to be saying to himself, Robinson, that I just need to sit in his pocket. I cannot let him get too far ahead of me. And I know Sprout's like, I just got to maintain. I got to conserve but not do too much, because I know what I can do maybe on the end. I may be a little faster as far as leg speed, but I also can't give up too much.
Here's another factor. I mean, they are teammates at Stanford, so they know each other.
Yeah,
I mean, you
very
know
well.
that and Cole has faded here. Cole has decided to drop. That was probably, he was running unattached, so that might have been part of it.
Okay.
And so Robinson now has taken over and has a big lead over Jackson Sharp. So I think that clearly has the earmarks of some kind of strategy. It doesn't appear that Cole Sprout is injured in any way.
And I was not even worried about that, but the way Sprout was running, he was running at a really, really high pace. So for me, I thought, okay, maybe is he the rabbit? And as you can see that he helped his teammate Robinson be able to maintain a lap in the pace that he needs to in order to hit a certain time.
Ty Robinson coming to the end of another lap, 9:15 into this race. He's going to pass Cole Sprout, who's clapping for Robinson, trying to encourage his Stanford teammate home the rest of the way. Jackson Sharp a good distance behind, and right now Jake Allen of Kentucky holding a lead for third, but we'll see if he can maintain that pace and stay in the top 3. But Robinson down the back stretch, and just from the eye test, if you will, Carlin, he looks to be running pretty smoothly right now.
Yes, he's really taking the lead and the charge, and I don't think anybody's going to come back to get him. He's a strong runner, as you can see. He's confident, he's smooth, and he's relaxed, and I think he's just going to bring this home.
Robinson down the front stretch here. As he gets to that line with a time of about 10:22, 10:23. Couple of laps left. Section 4 of the men's 5,000, the third and final heat. And now, really the battle in this race, Carlin, is going to be for third place.
Yes.
Because Robinson is well in front of Sharp, who's well in front of the pack that will be battling for third. Robinson down the final turn into the backstretch. Cole Sprout setting the pace for Kai Robinson, as this race is now 11:15 old. Chris Devaney of Loyola, Illinois, leading that pack for third. 2 laps remaining. Sharp to the line in second place, but he's trailing that guy, Kai Robinson of Stanford, racing on his home track in the Stanford Invitational. And now the other runners battling for third get to 2 laps to go. Robinson nearly a half lap ahead of those, and there's 4 or 5 runners who are have now broken away in a battle for third, but this race is going to be Kai Robinson's to win, as he has a lap and a quarter left. That's got to be special to win a race on your home track in an event like in a prestigious event like this. Robinson in a good groove here. You can see it just repeating and churning up the distance. Bell lap for Kai Robinson. Jackson Sharp to the line for his final lap, but they're all chasing Robinson. Luke Hauser in third, but Kai Robinson gonna hit the final turn, and he has a chance maybe to mentally kind of cruise home a little bit. I don't know if you ever take a break during a race, but he knows this one's well in hand.
Robinson does. He turned it on a little bit towards this final lap. I think he want to finish strong and finish fast and be happy with this race. For him, I think it's going to be just a confidence booster, a well-executed race for him, a smooth race for him, and I think he's going to be really happy about this outcome for him.
Kai Robinson of Stanford across the line, winning this Section 4 heat. Jackson Sharp coming in now, number 2. Boy, 13:35.95 for Robinson, and we'll see who grabs third. Logan Meisner of Wisconsin. So a couple of Badgers in the top 3. So the third heat, Section 4 of the 5,000 winding down. A couple more runners to finish, but Kai Robinson gets it done, Carlin, in impressive fashion. Cole Sprout, his Stanford teammate, helping out at the front of that race. And then it was Robinson's to take home, and our final competitor across the line, and that's going to do it for the 5,000. Our first event in the books at Stanford. What a start. A full day of the Stanford Invitational, and then tomorrow more of the same. Mike Rice and Carlin Isles with you from Palo Alto. We'll take a short time out on Flow Sports.
You got the women's.
Day one of the Stanford Invitational, the men's 5,000, starting the long day of competition, and now it's the women's 5,000, as this will be heat number one. Women's 5,000 up next, the 100-meter hurdles for the women, as we have a full day and maybe a little bit of sunshine trying to break through the clouds. Although, looking skyward, Carlin, I'm not sure we're going to get blue sky today. We'll have to wait and see. But some precipitation earlier this morning has subsided, at least for now, and let's hope that holds off. Again, as we talked about, Carlin, the competitors are going to fight through that, but it's always nice when they don't have to deal with rain and those kind of conditions.
Yes, and as we know, probably the athletes are waiting and praying for the weather guys to come and make something good out of this weather from earlier today. And you always want the ideal weather is, you know, something warm and something sunny so you can run a good time. But all in all, these athletes are competitors, and regardless of what weather brings, they're going to bring there again.
So they will, the first group of runners in the women's 5,000 will gather along that final turn as they arrange everybody for starting. We are at Cobb Track and Angel Field on the Stanford University campus. Stanford Track and Field, a prestigious program in year number 130. We mentioned the different invitationals that they host. They'll host the Stanford Invitational. Late in April, they'll host the Peyton Jordan Invitational in honor of their late coach, Peyton Jordan, who headed up the Cardinal program back in from about 57 to 1979, and really interesting figure who unfortunately left us back in 2009. And here's the first of two sections of the women's 5,000 meters underway, and they will begin to converge together after that staggered start here as they get to the front stretch. But Peyton Jordan, such a prominent figure in track and field, Carlin. You think about his accomplishments, the coach of the 1968 U.S. Olympic team that was a powerhouse to say the least. 24 medals for Team USA, 12 gold medals in Mexico City. A little bit of a smaller field for this first section of the women's 5,000 compared to what we saw for the men's heats. Kayla Christopher Moody of Montana State with the early lead, but that will undoubtedly be changing here by the lap, and probably more frequently than that. A little bit windy today along with the rain. Chilly conditions, but not, I would think, unbearable for the runners, Carlin. But again, it's what we've been talking about since we got on the air almost an hour ago. Competitors, runners are used to battling conditions, but it's just all part of the mental game and all part of what they have to deal with when they're in the midst of their race. Pack still bunched together. Christopher Moody, Kayla Christopher Moody, Tilly Simpson, Molly Latinsis from Oregon State towards the front as well. Yeah, the wind has kicked up here in the last few moments. A little more than the breeze that we had earlier this morning. still pretty bunched together as they make that final turn, and then they'll be about 2.5. They're about 2 laps in now, and when they get to what is the finish line, they'll be about 2.5 in with 10 laps to go. Yeah, some jostling going on towards the front. Another lap down, 3:20 into the race. There will be another section of the women's 5,000 to follow here. I have to look, but later on tonight, the men's 10,000 will finish up the program. Right before that, the women's 10,000. So they make the long distance runners wait all day and into the evening. That is scheduled. That men's 10,000, the final event of day 1, scheduled for 10:41 Pacific time. Do you have the number for takeout delivery?
Mike, I think we're going to need that because it's going to be a long, long day for us.
It is, but it's such a great day, too. I mean, the various events, and when you think about any individual competitor, they're focused on when am I racing, when is my event going, how do I mentally prepare and get into my routine for that race. And yet, as a spectator, it's really fun to see the whole event unfold.
Yes, it is. It's special, Mike, and I really love the venue here at Stanford. It's beautiful, and you can't argue what you see here and what the feeling that you get as well.
Eileen Seabon of Loyola, Illinois, into the lead with Inoa Brea of Ole Miss running second, and Cal's Georgia McCorkle in the top 3. You see her wearing bib 276. But still a very tightly bunched field.
Yes, very tightly bunched, and you can see the difference between the men and the women. The men really kind of separate themselves a little bit more now than the women. They kind of stay more in a compacted group, and I think they're still filling themselves out. And as the laps go, you'll really start to see the separation from people and in the field.
But unlike, especially that third section of the men's 5,000, this field very much together. Brea of Ole Miss wearing the red top, just a stride or so behind Seabon of Loyola, Illinois. But at this point, identifying who's in any place is so temporary, because there will be a lot of changing, one would think, over the last half of this race. Almost 6.5 minutes in right now. And it has been Seabon and Brea holding pace with McCorkle there for the last bit of time. And we'll see